When it comes to dill pickles, I have a problem. I have never been able to make crispy dill pickles. Well, this week I tried an experiment combining my grandma's recipe for sweet pickles and the recipe off the back of the Mrs. Wage's pickling lime bag. I combined 2 cups of lime with 2 gallons of cool water and added the cucumbers to the lime water as I sliced them. I sliced my cucumbers about 1/4 of an inch thick. My grandma always sliced hers a little bit thicker, but she sliced her cucumbers with a knife. It would take me at least 2 days to slice up 10 pounds of cucumbers with a knife because I am really slow. So I used the thickest setting on my mandolin slicer, and it took me less than 10 minutes to finish these cucumbers. I let the cucumbers soak in the lime water for 24 hours, just sitting out on the counter, and every time I walked by, I would stir the lime off the bottom of my dish pan. After 24 hours, I rinsed the cucumbers in a cool water bath 3 times and then soaked them in ice water in the refrigerator for another 3 hours. According to my grandmother's recipe, at this point, I would drain the cucumbers and start the canning process. But Mrs. Wage's says to soak the cucumbers again in the pickling brine. I did not want to start canning at 10 o'clock at night since I was attempting this during the work week, so I went ahead and soaked them in the brine. I used leftover Mrs. Wage's medium spicy dill that I had from some soggy pickles that I made a few weeks ago, and I just canned the extra brine when I canned my pickles. I had 2 quarts of that brine and another piece of a quart of bread and butter that I just went ahead and added. Mrs. Wage's said to soak them in the brine in the refrigerator overnight, but these cucumbers stayed in the brine for nearly 24 hours since they had to wait for me to get home from work the next day. So I drained the brine into a pot and heated it to boiling while I packed the cucumbers into hot jars to a 1/2 inch headspace. I packed them in really tightly. If you don't do that, you'll have a lot of brine and not many pickles when you get done. And I covered them with the brine to that 1/2 inch headspace, debubbled, added more brine as needed to keep my headspace, wiped the rims really well, put the lids and rings on, and I water bath canned them for 15 minutes. I had 6 quarts and 1 pint. I went ahead and canned my pint with my quarts at the quart time. After 15 minutes, I turned the heat off to my canner, removed the lid, and waited another 5 minutes before I removed the jars to cool overnight. The next morning, I put my little pint jar in the fridge to chill while I was at work so that we could test it when I got home, and I am excited to say that my experiment worked. These pickles were the crunchiest dill pickles I've ever made.